Good morning, everybody. This is Douglas coming to you from Cape Town, and we're talking to Kirsten in Denmark today. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, Kirsten,
Yeah.
outside right now, if you looked out your window, is the sun shining? Is it bright and beautiful as it is around me?
No, I just thought about when we made this appointment. I don't know what it is with you, but you make me think in music sentences. So I'm waiting for the sun. It's a Doors thing. Very early 70s, I think. But no, it's not. I think the sun should be up, but it's gray and cold. A bit of snow, but well, not very inspiring weather.
Well, I remember doing training in Vardø in the that's the west, isn't it, of Denmark?
Yeah.
And it was and we did it, I think, around this time when Christopher and I had organized, and it was cold, it was dark. We started the workshops in the dark, we ended the workshops in the dark. It was cold, it was rainy, and I was grateful. I enjoy experiencing all of those things, and but it's also great to come home to better weather. And our weather's not always like this. We're in summer, we're in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
But you must see it that every year, as the winter really gets a grip on people, it influences how they feel. There's what they call it seasonal. There's a whole seasonal thing about like almost a depression that people drop into because
it is we do that. I think in November it starts getting very dark, and nowadays it's mostly dark and wet and windy, and that is very not inspiring weather. And then you got December, then you got the Christmas, and you got that looking forward, and people put up a lot of lights, and with your family you see the what we call Christmas calendar, something on television, every night.
Okay.
And that is sort of lifting us up. And then you hit the 1st of January, and you got these 31 days of darkness. And for me, and also I have my birthday in the 1st of January.
But it's happy birthday for the 1st of January.
No, it wasn't the first, but in the beginning. But it's not. Well, it's. I think it feels like when you start January, there's very long time before there's something to look forward to. Yeah. And that's because you look forward to spring. So I think people like us here in Denmark, like me here in Denmark, that live in an environment where the weather has a lot of shift, you tend to react on that. And you must really fight not to get blue or darker when it's dark. Because it influences a lot on your ability to move and be outside.
Well, I remember someone that I trained years ago. Her and her family moved to New Zealand, and she'd sent me an email a few years later going, wow, I can really see how, like, she was in a New Zealand winter where it was cold and the wind was howling. I think she was in Christchurch, and she was saying you can literally see people, the way they almost fight the weather is they're walking like this. And she says it's amazing how that then plays out. And it's something that, coming from Cape Town, our winters are cold and they're kind of stormy, but they're still beautiful. And they don't get as bad. So you have a different physiological response to the environment that you're in. And so we're all managing different things.
Yeah, and the thing is, I lived and worked for a short while on Lanzarote, and there was 22 degrees. It was from October to May, 22, 25 degrees every day. And actually, when I came home in May, I was so confused because I didn't know where I was, because I didn't have this. I haven't had this thing. So actually, I think growing up with it, it's actually also something you need, even though you don't love it. You need it to feel how the weather, how the years.
What you remind me of is you know, so breathing. We talk about we want a rhythm, and the body loves sine waves, and the sine wave is just a constant, like an easy changing. It doesn't like a So if your system has got used to this rhythm, then it's got used to the rhythm, and so it's something that's normal for you. Whereas somebody put into that will be challenged by that, or taken out of it and going, hang on, I'm waiting for my seasonal change because my body knows that, you know, and because, and I think, you know, like when we find ourselves in rhythm with our environment and with our breath and ourselves, you know, that's when we get the coherence and the getting into the zone, and that's when the frequencies of the heart and the brain and the breath all align, and so they all become sine waves. They're all at different beats and different movements, but they're all sine waves. When they're out of sync, that's when our body is disturbed, and we find ourselves, and well, we find that we have our client on the table saying, help, I have a problem. And their problem can be anything from aches and pains and to stress to anxieties. But what comes up for me is so much of Europe is in quite a serious lockdown right now. And so much of Europe, not all of Europe, has this darkness. It's more like the Scandinavian countries and the UK will be having more dark, more crappy weather.
More dark and more lockdown at the same time.
Yeah. So you're really kind of getting a double strike, which means people really have to work harder than normal to maintain. You know, and it becomes really important that people understand that, you know, I've a lot of the people that I've been connecting with have been saying that December was really tough when the more serious lockdowns came, and they suddenly got hit by these dips and this kind of overwhelmed. And, you know, what's interesting about that for me is the people that I'm talking to, like you, have tools to help yourself be better in those places. We can't always get out of it. We can't always just, you know, click our fingers and jump out. But most people don't have those tools.
Yeah.
And so when they go into that deep, dark place, they stay there until somebody kind of reaches in and fishes them out, or you know, teaches them how to get out themselves.
And I also thought about that when, as I also wrote to you, that it was getting depressing, that I have some tools and I know things to do, things that, you know, like you go to the ocean, I go to the horses, and that can help me. But what I thought was that at the beginning of this month, I had to, you know, I could activate, and it was great because I was there. I was in me and it was great, but I couldn't maintain it. When I was out of it, I was out of it. And then I could go out horse riding or do something with my animals, and it was great. But when I went back in to something else, I could feel, but as you said, and I thought about what are other people doing, because this is so hard to get through. And I think we are locking down. People in Denmark are really, and we don't look each other in the eye when you meet. You know, you're just doing like this.
So the disconnect is becoming greater and greater.
It is.
I think, and that's tough because that plays out on our physiology too. That shuts us down even more. So and what's interesting in what you said, at least with the seasons, we know that the seasons change. We know there's a certainty. The darkness will only last until in January it starts to get better. At the end of January it starts to get better. But with what's going on with COVID, we actually don't know. So we need those fixed points. We need those reference points because it's part of our survival need, and it's that certainty. And so having all these levels of uncertainty playing out as like a whole world of it, it really scrambles people's physiology. And I think my concern is, there's a lot of horrible stuff that's happened with COVID, but it's more all the people what happens when you've disconnected someone from friends and family and society and support systems? What happens when you disconnect someone from actually being able to look at someone in the eyes and say, hey, I see you. There's an amazing South African greeting, Sawubona. Sawubona basically means I see you. And there are a lot of African languages that their greeting actually is that. And I think it was actually an Avatar stole it. I mean, borrowed it, and they put it in Avatar. But it's Sawubona, I see you. And we almost need to find new strategies that we've not thought of before, kind of like this. Like you and me, it's digital, but we're still looking at each other. We're still having proper conversation. And that's why I said to you at the start, I'm just going to do a 3, 2, 1, and we start. I think by now people have realized there is no script. There is no series of questions that we ask to go to certain places, because that's not what's important. What's important is two people having a conversation about what's important to me and what's important to you, and then maybe what we can do about it. Oh dear, I have lost you completely. And it's me. So this is still recording, hopefully on my camera on. Goodness, my apologies. This is the wonders.
Hello again.
This is the wonders of technology. We talking about two people having a conversation and being able to connect, and then my Wi-Fi randomly decides it's time to reset right now. And there's so many things like this.
For me, you were frozen.
No, for me, I kept speaking, obviously, and you'd frozen, and I'm like, you're so still. I must have deeply impacted on you. Oh, that's great. No, but I think the thing is that for me, it's interesting is if I track back to the first time that I taught in Denmark, I almost needed to give my group permission to express freely, because it's not really a Danish thing.
No.
And that's most like Scandinavian countries. The more north you go, the worse it gets. Or not worse, the less easy communication is. And so if you take cold, dark, miserable weather, putting people into a lockdown, not as intense as maybe other places, but enough of a lockdown to make a big difference, plus mask wearing and all of these things. Plus you already have a backdrop in a culture where we don't communicate that much anyway. It's a lot of pressure for the system to have to deal with. And I always think like there's the joke, of you guys don't have anything dangerous. You have no dangerous animals. You have no mountains to
we
fall
need to make it itself.
Animals. You know. So not only are you apparently the happiest nation in the world, one of top 3 over and over. I'm always find that fascinating, because everything is about how you play the numbers. So I don't fully agree with that.
No, wait. Neither do I.
but so if your system is never, like, on a regular basis being challenged because everything's comfortable, when the country is challenged, you'll see a lot more people struggle, and someone in a more severe position might be going, why are they so stressed? They're okay. They're fine. Well, no, everything's relative to your physiology, your background. You know, if you put me in Denmark for a year and I had to go through the darkness, and I think I would struggle. You know, the interesting part, actually, because you said you have your horses, I have my surfing. So what is the date today? Let me just check. So today is the 13th of January. I am technically allowed to go in water again. I'm technically allowed to go surfing again after my surgery. Okay.
Yeah.
On my ear. Here's the problem. We're in our level 3 lockdown, keeps our beaches closed.
Yeah, you said that Saturday. Yeah.
And I could feel like a level of anxiety and stress coming up probably on about Sunday. So after we'd finished the Hack 2021 program and I was on this high, and then suddenly I was like, whoa, I just want to go surfing now. I can't wait. And then it got extended.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was I had to hack it, which I actually did on Monday afternoon. Yeah. And the strategy was, okay, I'm going to drive 6 hours up the coast because there's a section that's still open. There's not much, there's not much beach, but I realized that what I need, ironically, is the cold. The surfing is very important, but surfing in cold water is more important for me. I love going to Bali. I love the people. I love the waves, but I don't get the same physiological kind of benefit.
Yeah.
So I just ran a cold bath and put 4 bags of ice in. And I lay in it for 15 minutes on Monday afternoon. And at a certain point, it got to my traps and up my neck, because I was just letting my breathing through my nose and my mouth. And somewhere my system went, and I was saying to Amy last night, it's interesting that anxiety, that need to go surfing, have to go surfing, I will find a way. It's much quieter now. It's not as loud. It's not. I've met myself and my need in a different way in the environment I'm in, and it's made a big difference. And I was like, whew, that's a relief. It doesn't mean I'm not going to go and drive 6 hours. Just so we're all clear. It's
of course not.
My life is. I'm very happy to do that. 6 hours of driving to go and have a surf, awesome. I have to figure out how to do that in curfew. Because we have a curfew running from 5 a.m. in the morning, so 9 p.m. at night to 5 a.m. in the morning. So you're not allowed out between those periods. So I might have to either drive really fast and make 6 hours into 4 hours, so I actually have time to surf and get back, or I've got to stay somewhere. Then we make plans. And so I hope that you and people watching and listening to this are instead of going, oh, I can't do this because of this, you figure out what that thing is and what it gives you. And then you find another way.
But that's something that really astonished me a lot of the times. Now you found this, and it's quite simple in a way. And it's really, sometimes I just wonder, we are so easy to change. So why haven't we access to this easiness?
Because this thing up here loves the cleverness.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Peter Pan standing there like this, going, "Oh, the cleverness of me."
Yeah.
You know, and we love to be clever, and we love to show other people how clever we are. And, you know, think how many, because you've done a lot of workshops. You've come and joined me, and we've done learning in Denmark and in London. And how many times have you seen people experiencing the level 1 for the first time, looking really frustrated because it can't be that simple. It can't be that straightforward. There's no way the body can change that much. You just did this. And it's almost like the thinking brain that wants the cleverness and the is going, no, that it has to be bullshit. And there's no way that's possible. And to me, it's like, have we been indoctrinated that all the answers that we need somebody else has? Because that's wrong. Because actually every answer that you need, you already have. You can do it. And as you say, actually, it's usually pretty damn simple.
Yeah. Also, I think when I'm seeing clients, some of the things that I fight is their need that is more complicated. It's very hard for them to accept, as you say, when I do a bit of rubbing, that really hurtful, of course, especially the first time. If some, or maybe it's also the Danish withdrawal thing.
Skepticism.
Sometimes it's so difficult for them to accept what's going on in their own body.
Because the clever mind says, if this really works, everybody would know about it already.
Yeah.
This would be so how, and then they're going, how are you tricking? You know, I love this. These are the conversations. How are you tricking me? What's the illusion? I've had so many theories. Like I had someone after 4 days of training. So, you know, that's a level 1, level 2. That's like 46 hours of training.
Oof. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Woohoo! Who came and went, I know how you do it. And I'm like, do what? I know how you get all these results. I'm like, awesome. I thought for the last 46 hours I had been teaching how, but okay, how? And she said, you do wake hypnosis on the group. And I went, I do what?
Wow.
Yeah.
And you do that?
Wake hypnosis. You hypnotized the group, and then you did all this stuff. And I was like, wow, I did that? Yes, that's the only way to explain what I've just seen in the last 4 days. Okay, so in your clever mind trying to explain this, you need to say that. Cool, if it's wake hypnosis and that helps you sleep at night, sweet, we're doing wake hypnosis.
Yeah.
If there's a book on wake hypnosis, and actually I have looked at them, and I'm going, no, I don't think I'm quite there. Maybe 1 or 2 people I could drop into that. But I like the idea. And so, you know, it's when your clients, when you've done the psoas and then your second, and then you activate and you do it again, and they go, oh, you're not pushing as hard.
Yeah.
You know, and we have things in there like, okay, cool. Well, we'll do flexibility because I can't fake the flexibility, because people are so confused because they're so disconnected to what they feel that it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and when you do the leg stretch, and it's 60 degrees more, they say, yeah, it felt a bit different. And you say, see?
That's when you want to take out your baseball bat. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah, but I just thought about it. I had some issues with my stomach the last year, and I went to an osteopath course in November here in Denmark, and we were allowed to be 8 people. And I felt so out of I felt so much that this wasn't my place, because those osteopaths and physios that were there, as you said, they sounded so clever, and everything should sound so clever.
Yeah.
And not being in an environment where Be Activated was just, of course, we think from Be Activated, and then we can put something else in, that's all right. It was 4 days, and I like to learn it, but I will never come back.
Yeah.
Because this thing that actually it's so simple, and some of the people that I really love to work with are those people who are not intellectual, I don't know.
Yeah.
Clever. The average person that is reflecting and feeling much more than the persons that I also meet, or I meet them, more of them, I think.
Yeah.
That are so much up in their head, and when I say, well, that's just a hip flexor or something, is it that simple? Yes, it's that simple. And I really love that I don't have to, make a big anatomical explanation, things like that. But the people that are simple in a way, they are much more likable to work with and reflect with, because it also gives me something back.
Because their priority system is right. They want to feel better.
Yeah.
The person who's in their head just wants more cleverness. So they
want to be right.
They want you to meet them in their heads and dazzle me with cleverness, so I can go back to my world and say, Kirsten said da 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 da, and the reason I have this problem that's not getting better is because blah 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 blah. But if you come along and say, you know what, that problem that you've had for the last 10 years, that you've created this massive story and infrastructure around, the answer is really simple. You just have to do this. Poof. Yeah. And all of that will vanish. Well, that whole story is tied in with who they are. Can you imagine how humiliating actually it would be that I have to go back to my world as a clever Doug and go, I'm kind of embarrassed, but that thing I've had for 10 years, went to Kirsten, she explained this 1, 2, 3, she showed me why it was there. I can't believe nobody else knew this stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
We switched on my breathing. I started breathing. I already felt better. Then we did something in the front, the hip flexor and the glute, and bang, my body changed. My pain's gone, and look what I can do now. But your ego would never allow that, because if you're clever and if your infrastructure is based upon the story that you've created, your ego will not let you let go, because you might have to look stupid. I want people to go, wow, that was silly of me, my mistake. It's like, I wish we could do that, because the world would be a much better place if people could actually go, wow, we decided to do this and we tried it and it didn't work. Okay, what are we going to try next? That's what we do when we're working with a client. If it doesn't work, move on.
Yeah. But that's also, the playfulness, the playing, and being childish, and as we going back to where we started in this dark January in Denmark and it's closing down on you, is to be able to do that, you have to be in yourself, and you have to be comfortable. And when I have this, sometimes just glimpses where I am there, it's so wonderful. And it's it's a thing that I would like to get better at or have more experience of, because it's just so nice. But I think it's the you, the 1, 2, 3, as you say, this being here is so difficult. Because then you go, as you, those clever persons, and you, as you talked in an earlier interview, you want to impress them, and then you just do something. It's such bad work. Physically, it's all right, but in the mental place, you are so disconnected.
No, and it's amazing because it's that's why the Hack 2021 for me was so important. And I think and I actually want to chat to you about that. But for me, like, what was so important was I was in sunshine, but I was reaching December and my energy was dropping. And I was, and so I'm good at noticing those things, and I'm good at reflecting and going, I wonder what's going on. Oh, like the mantra is get through 2020. That's what everyone's been saying. But guess what? On the other side, it's not
just the same.
Same or worse, but because it keeps changing, we still don't have any certainty. And so, like, I really was excited to find the new activation tool and put it in with the bungee, and to really go, I feel different. And different to a level that I've not experienced before. And that was important. That was what was so cool, because we had 80 people sign up in, because I really gave, it was a short space of time. It was almost like you have here's a new idea that Doug's got. Here's the limitation. You have 10 days that to decide you're either in or you're not. Why? Because only one plane goes out with FedEx per week, and delivery, and each country's different. And so 80 people stepped up and got on board. We had 60 of them live on the Zoom call. And for me, the big part was, I know this worked for me. And as long as I stayed clear with that I'm sharing what worked for me, not going, this is what it will do for you. Because in any video that anybody sees about the home activation kit, at no point do I say, this is what it will do for you, because I can't say that. I can only say, this is what it did for me. And what was so cool is getting everyone's feedback, and so when you got your kit and playing with it was the one part, and then how we integrated it on Saturday. And what did you think when you first got your kit?
I was in the beginning, when I ordered it, I was so happy, because I knew I was dropping down, as you said. And I said, oh, great, there's a new possibility to meet Doc and a Zoom, and have some toy to do with. At that time was where when I was activating, I was all right. And then when I'm getting out, I wasn't. So when it arrived, I was so excited. And I had seen the videos a few days before, where you showed a thing about it. And I just, I unraveled it and went on my on the floor and start working with it. For me, it was. I have had a lot of accidents in my life. Maybe because I have always had the need to feel, so I had to throw myself into really, really stupid and dangerous things, because we have no danger. And even though I had people working on me, there are things that we can never release, or haven't been able to release. And when I had
to release yet.
Yes, well, but we are some. It's I had it Monday afternoon last week, and after having this, it was just already the first day I released some calf things on my back, and I knew that was some of the things that were holding me back, and then I do a lot of work on the hamstring and the lateral sling, and it's awesome.
Excellent.
So I was very happy, and as I wrote to you, I loved seeing you wriggle, because it's just like seeing me. As sometimes our girls are happy that the boyfriends are not here, because I'm looking really stupid on the floor, and they say, "Oh no, she's activating again."
Yeah.
So I think it was.
So it's just so that someone doesn't. Part of, in the when I sent you your FedEx number, I also said, here's what we're doing. Here's the live program that's coming on Saturday. But here are 5 videos to get you started, which is basically, and the one was me with the particular. This is particularly for the lateral sling.
Yeah.
Moving the balls out and then lying face down, prone. Where for me, I was putting it into the iliacus area.
Yeah.
And then you can lie there and breathe without moving. It works. But you can also wriggle around. And of course, because I'm putting in a video and sharing it and sharing what I'm doing, because that's what I was doing. I at no point was I saying, this is the most amazing thing. I was saying, this is what I'm doing. This is what's working for me. I'm sharing. And it's made this process so much more fun. So even when I was packing the boxes, it was like the first big batch. I actually had packed them all, and then I thought, no, there's not enough happiness in here. And so I went out and I bought the little happiness monsters and the flowers of joy, and later on it became little pullback cars and all different things, because we need that. We need that little, and the little minion. You obviously have to have the minion in there, because everybody needs a helper.
Yes.
And it's the little things, but it's the idea of the clever people will sit there and say, and now you're going to lie on your front and you're going to wriggle like this, but they won't do it. We've got to go there first. It's so easy to get people to do stuff if you're already doing it.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of, you just have to, you go there and you say, this is where I've gone. Would you like to join me? This is how you get there. How? And they go, well, how do you know? Well, because this is how I got there. And it's not a perfect straight line. And they as you said, you have those moments where you find that amazing place, but it doesn't last, and then it drops out. But you know what that amazing place is. You know what the possibility is. And now the goal of the game is how to stay there, get there, and stay there longer, more often. Not always be there, because that's an unrealistic goal. Because life happens, craziness happens.
Yeah.
But how?
And I also thought about, but the thing about doing this, being as nerdy and have to go and explore, what do this do to me? Because I'm dreadful. I'm doing it all the time. I'm checking out, and then I can't release it. So I get frustrated, but it's always there for me. And in a normal surrounding, I don't meet many people who are that far out, because people think I'm extreme. Nothing, it's normal, but it's extreme. And that was also why it made me happy, because, well, I know you are extreme too, but seeing it was great.
Me?
Yeah, you.
To what? Hey, I'm about the most normal person in the world. Everybody else is a bit cooked.
Oh, that's why.
Everything's about your reference point.
It is, of course. Yeah. But also when you meet a client, sometimes you meet a client that are actually maybe not as extreme, but actually also trying something out. You just want them to come back. And actually, if you could, you would pay them coming back, so you could reflect with them.
And sometimes I've always felt like, what I say, like, it's in my head a lot. If if you could just see what I could see in you,
Yeah.
possibilities are amazing, incredible.
Yeah.
But you can't see that because you've believed that you can't. So there's a belief system that's locked into a cultural system that's locked into a physiological system, which therefore is our neurology. And then we go, yeah, but this is who I am. Yes, but why aren't you this? Oh, I don't do that. Have you ever asked why you don't do that? No, I just don't do that. Okay, so you don't know. So you've chosen the whole left-hand side here doesn't exist. Well, why is that? Because that's the way it's always been. Oh, okay, that's a really good reason. If you ever want to do some good work, we could do this. It's like when I was studying, the first time I went to a stroke rehabilitation center, it was the most crazy thing watching this lady with a stroke eat her lunch. And she had the visual problem, as in one half did not exist. And literally, she ate everything on her plate on one half. And when she went, okay, finished, they walked up to her plate, they rotated 180 degrees, and she went, and they just smiled. They said, every day we do this. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. But what you and I know is that's hackable. I know that's hackable. It's, I like, when at that point when I was learning, and I must have been first or second year physio at that point, that was like, oh, wow. So that's how they've got to learn to adapt for the rest of their lives. And that was the paradigm that I believed.
Yeah, of course.
Until I started getting a few strokes who were like this or like that. And we did some work and that didn't exist anymore. And suddenly it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, so that rule that was definite for sure and always like that and will always be like that may not be real. Cool. It doesn't mean it always works. And I always have to say this afterwards. Doesn't mean we can always, but the body's amazing. And the potential is amazing. And when we find the right thing, the body responds. And it's kind of, there are so many like rules that we don't know that we've set up in our lives to make us be and do, and barriers and limitations. And it's kind of all of those influence our physiology, influence our resilience, and the way we deal with all the crazy stuff that goes on. So I want to jump back to Hack 2021. So obviously what we did is there was a 3-mile lead up. We did the Monday, which was the 7 levels deep, which is basically, what do you want to do in 2021 and why do you want to do it? And let's really drop deep. So we get it into your body. Really amazing process, not mine. It's something that I've had shared with me, but it was great. And then figuring out what works and what didn't work in 2020, because you don't want to take what didn't work into your next year. Then we did just how to set up on the Wednesday, making sure that everyone created the right space to work. Why is that important? When you work with your client, have you set up the space to make sure it's good for you? Because if it's not good for you, you won't be effective. And then the Friday one is you guys got to watch me talk about my grass and got to watch a speeded up video of me topsoiling a small section of my grass, which, it was one of those funny things, because in this online world, there's always how much of yourself do you give? How much do you let people in? And the thing is that, and I found that I've wrestled a little bit with that. But since I found my new gear and I dropped, I was comfortable with that, because it was me in a real scenario solving a problem with the tools that I was sharing with you. And then on Saturday night, we were going to enable your physiology even more with those tools. And so it was interesting, because I just felt pretty proud of myself that I was sharing that and doing that and figuring out the tech to have fun with that. And so all of that is the preparation, preparing somebody, preparing your clients. Like sometimes that's, people get their client on the table so quickly and they start doing stuff, but they don't even tell them what they're doing.
Yeah.
So there's no preparation. So when the client's just like, what are you doing? And we've got to slow that down. And you'll find like and it doesn't mean big, long explanations ever. Sometimes it's just really, hey, the 1, 2, 3, this is why we do it. And all you need is them going, oh, okay, cool. And the minute they do that, they're on board. But your clever ones will go, you have to explain that more. Oh, I don't know. And you already know that this is someone who's going to be a little bit tougher. Christopher is very clear on this. His first session is about the 1, 2, 3, is about doing the testing and making sure that his client understands it, because immediately their frame of reference on how they look at their body and their problems is different. And then they can work with you. And it's like, for me, it's a lot of people can't do that because there's a bravery that's required. This is how I do it. The first session, I teach you the 1, 2, 3 for your body. If we have time, we'll go into the breathing in the zone 1, only if we have time. And it's one of those amazing things. So that's what I was doing as I was preparing you guys for Saturday night. And for me, that was fun, because it was the first program I probably ever run that I told you guys would be 90 minutes, and it was 90 minutes.
Yeah.
So something in me is different, because when I first said I was going to do interviews, I said I'd do 15-minute interviews. That's really worked well.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Tell me about your experience of maybe going through the emails of the preparation, and then your Saturday night, and what you felt and what you got and what worked, but maybe also what didn't work. If there, well, obviously nothing didn't work. It was all perfect. Besides my sound at the beginning.
Well, that doesn't matter, because actually I think it's great, because for me the technology is also something that I have to learn. I'm grown up with technology, and then it's difficult, and you have to always pull yourself out to do it, to be online. Also, like this is quite, it's fine now, but there's a hurdle. But doing the 7 hack was actually quite difficult for me, because I ended at level 6, or the 6th hack, and the problem there was that actually what I wanted was to have more clients, and the more clients was of course for the money, because we have to have money, but that's not the drive. The drive is the interaction. And when I went down to the 6th level, my answer was because it makes me feel worth. I don't know, it's that the right way to express it, but that I needed to have these clients and have this session to feel that I was worth anything. And that was really depressing. So I just had to stop and said, well,
what rubbish is that Douglas is giving me?
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about. No, so that it was laying there for me 2 days, I think. And I had an idea of where I was going when we started. And actually, it's okay for me that I'm not clear. It's okay, because as you always say to us, when we're in a safe environment, and I was safe because I know I'm safe with you, even though I know you're also very provoking, but I'm safe. So it was fine for me. And as I wrote to you, when we went into the butt bungee and was going to do the activation for what do I want for 2021, I could have chosen a very specific target, a quite narrow thing, but I choose my self-esteem, which is big, like this, and that's because of that. What I met on the paper, and because there's a imbalance between what other people see in me, as you say, and what I see in me. And it's not new. It's been there maybe my whole life, or nearly my whole life. And then I thought, now must be the time that I look myself in the eyes and start to feel worthy without having to have other people making me feel.
But imagine that you've grown up in a world that says your worth is what other people think you are. And that's what you grow up with.
Yeah.
And there are that's most of the world, that other people tell you whether you are of value or not. And therefore what we've done is we've handed over the power of who I am. My identity is now in your hands, and your hands, and your hands, and your hands, which is why in the t-shirt that I'm not wearing today,
no,
that zone 3, the ATOFs, are all the other fuckers. And if you're a kid, what you heard me say was all the other fools.
Yeah, of course.
And the thing is that, and so when we put out our needs to people in that realm, we implode ourselves.
Yeah.
And so when we feel ourselves and we connect in with ourselves, we can do that work and that worthiness right then and there in the bungee, using the tool, not using the tool, but we can do that work because being worthy does not require anybody else.
No.
As long as you know that and believe that. So what happened in the bungee? Did you find some of that? So now we know what you were working on.
Yeah, I did. In the beginning, I actually do work in the butt bungee regularly.
Nice.
I use this the thing Maeve had made with for horse riders.
Yes.
And then I do all my other things. What I figure out, but so I struggle a lot in it, and my progresses are, well, they are there, but they are tiny. But I need to respect that they are tiny. So when we started, I knew that my left leg was the calf and the lower leg working.
Yeah.
Even though I told my butt, it's your job, but it was really and it was sore and awful. And I think already when we started with the briefing, you started up here, and I always start down here, and that was interesting for me.
And it's only because the tool doesn't work well down here. Up there.
Yeah. Well, just, I don't know, but
that's all it was. No other. There was no clever reason. But something different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a lot of accident for my neck, and of course I have had, let's say that, so many things up here and in my head. So just when I felt this, it did something for me. But I think it was, it was, I could, it was better. I felt better already. Also, just having this this work with, but then my left psoas was really hurtful, and that was great.
So when you were doing the rub-a-dub-dub type thing, that one.
No.
Or when we did the spiking it.
Yeah, this one, digging in. Yeah. But where it really was good for me, or where it really changed, and I have this thing happening in my head when things are really hurtful and changing. It's just, I get this, you call it brain freeze, but it's not brain freeze. It's really I don't know, it's really weird feeling. It's a combination of pain and doing like this in my head. But when we play, you understand.
It sounds like you were touching the electricity. You stuck your finger in the plug.
Something like it. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Yeah. But that sounds like electricity in the brain waking up.
Yeah. And I like it.
Yeah.
So when we went to the back of the neck and got below the C2, it was really painful and so wonderful. I think I've been waiting for that at least 27 years or something like that.
Well, you're very patient. You're very patient.
No, actually, I'm not.
Oh, wow.
I asked so many people, please release this, but nobody had before.
So you also once again thought somebody else had the answer for you.
Yes,
and yet,
of course.
As long as you had the right tool, you actually had the answer for yourself.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious me.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to wear a badge, and when you're feeling good, the badge says, I did this.
Yeah.
I did it. Doug did this for me. I didn't. You did it.
Yeah.
And so the connection, the worthiness, the whatever the topic is, if we can, which is the goal with our clients, is we help them get to a place, and then we hand over as much as we can to them. They will always come back because they need more, they need reminding, they need all of that. But the more we know that we can take care of ourselves, the more resilient we are in the world, the more we're able to deal with the craziness and uncertainty and chaos that goes on, and then influence and impact on other people. So having this release, what's different? What changed?
I'm more I am more positive. I felt I think I never had these releases where people come and say, wow, and it was so great. It doesn't work like this for me. But
because your rule was little bit by little bit. Only they get the big release because they are.
Yeah, I can only do this.
I'm worthy. I'm only get little bit by little bit.
Yeah, of course. Don't change the rule. No, but I feel lighter, and standing in the bungee, my left leg didn't hurt. I wasn't totally connected to the left butt yet.
Nice, you see different language yet.
Yeah, because the next morning I when I got up, of course, after breakfast, started my activation with the tool. And then I had this word, worthiness. Is it the word?
Worthiness, but obviously you're thinking it in Danish. What's it in Danish?
Selvværd.
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 Yeah. It's just self and worth.
Nice.
Yeah, and I did activation with that, and I had continued working with it these days, and it's quite a relief. Actually, it is a relief saying it out.
You are touching so deep in my heart, because it takes so much courage and bravery to first to find it in ourselves, and you're really going much further, because you're having a conversation with me that you know is being recorded, that you know is going to be shared.
Just don't need to think about that.
I'm just adding the pressure. So what comes up for me? What comes up for me on this, which is it's kind of a Brené Brown concept that she had in one of her TED talks, that I kind of turn on its head a little bit. And I've used it over the years with my clients, quite a lot, because this topic comes up quite a lot when we're seeking not just worthiness, but love outside. And the question is, when will you believe that you are worthy of love?
Yeah.
And so it's not a conversation, like a question you have to answer at this. It's just another layer when you're in the bungee. And I've had big, mean athletes that we've done this work on, and they actually have to verbalize that they are worthy of love.
Yeah.
That the statement is, I am worthy of love. So for anyone listening to this, try it. Even as I say it, I can feel like the fact that I know this is being shared and I'm saying it, I can feel what I'd call thrills going, the electricity you were talking about. It's like, and my brain goes, is that because I am sharing a concept that's quite far out, that for some of our community, they're already going, whoa, we don't do this stuff. Cool, deal with it. Or is it because this is part of my stuff too? And the question is, if you are connecting in more with yourself, if you are connecting more deeply, and your zone one, your integrity, your psoas and your glute are holding you with a container so beautiful, so safe, that you can feel and experience yourself, how can you not love that? How can you not feel love? And I don't know, it's not a South African thing, it's a worldwide thing, but I believe that we are brought up to believe that, just like worthiness, that love is something you get from somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's not.
No.
It's actually something that resides in you. So when you're looking for love, look inward.
Yeah.
Look inward. Don't look out there. It ain't there. It's inward. Because and if you want to give somebody love, you have to have it in you already to give it. You can't give what you don't have.
No. I just I told my wife yesterday evening that you wrote to me, and I hadn't told her about the self-esteem thing, and then she said to me, "Well, I know that you told me that 26 years ago when we met. I'm not worthy." And I think it's one of the first things I told her, and that is really disgusting, actually. Isn't it?
But you know what's so interesting about that? So that's 26 years ago, and you said the C2 release, you've been waiting for 27 years for that.
That's right.
Interesting.
Maybe that's something to do with each other. Yeah. But that's great.
But isn't that where, as we drop more into ourselves, we start to feel and understand why we're feeling what we're feeling, why we're up against this. Because it's fine to go, I keep crashing against this wall. And people say, how do I get through it? How do I get over it? How do I get around it? Help me change direction. And all of those are possibilities. But the other possibility is, why is the wall there in the first place?
Yeah.
If I understand the wall, I may discover it's not a wall after all. It's something else. And or when I understand it, it no longer needs to be there. And so I can just move on without the resistance. And that's a philosophical idea of, but yes, we can help you to get over the wall and round the wall or under the wall or away from the wall. But the wall's still there.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone anywhere. It's still there. At some point, it's going to raise itself up and say, hey, I'm there. And when we expanding fully, we hit those walls, we understand those walls, and the wall no longer needs to be there, so we can move through it. There will be more walls. That's part of expansion. That's part of growth. If somebody says to me, oh wow, I did this thing, it was amazing, my life is perfect and has been perfect forever and ever since you did this, and I do hear that, my everything in my head says bullshit. I don't believe you. Because I know that every time I break through something, I expand further. I know the next wall that I'm going to come up against, whenever I come up against it, is going to be bigger. It's going to be harder. But I want that. Because that for me is my sign that I'm growing. If I'm not coming up against anything, I'm either not growing or I'm shrinking, which is imploding, which is collapsing, which is, and in what we're doing in the world, in this community, that means I'm being irrelevant. I'm not helping. I'm not doing what I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to find reasons in our lives not to do things. It's very easy. There are always 100 reasons why, I won't, I should do this today, but I won't because of blah, 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 blah. And when I did the video on the Friday with me and my topsoiling my grass, my feedback, I jumped up on the jungle gym and I put it on normal speed. And I said to you guys, it's over 30 degrees.
Yeah.
The wind is blowing. So when I'm throwing the soil, it's doing this. And there are many reasons I could find not to do this today. But I made a decision to do it. I made a decision to share it. And if I'm teaching you about strategy, but I'm not showing you the action that comes with the strategy belongs in your head. Action is in your body. So it's great to have a great plan, but people have to put it into action.
Yeah.
And when you are in your bungee, doing the activations with the tool, without the tool, and your focus is on inward, me, worthiness, love, that's taking action. That's putting your point of focus to the place that it must go, not on what you don't have, but what you do have, and kind of. So it's like the seed grows. You water it, you nurture it, you grow it. And that's what's possible. And that, like I seem to be quite flowery. I'm very much in growing and grass. And my section on the left, that grass that from now about 8-9 days ago is amazing. The stuff that I did with you guys, it's starting to sprout. It's starting to really come back to life in a beautiful way. It's not as good as the other bit, but that's taken 10 days of watering and care and nurturing. So when we take care of ourselves and we water and we nurture and we support ourselves and give ourselves what we need, we will expand.
But I was thinking on all those things, I of course I know that it started when I was much younger. Everything, this self-esteem, and in Denmark we have something we call jantelov, and that is the thing you don't. It says something about you should not think that you are something, and it's really awful.
No, but that's really, really important. So in South Africa, we call it tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
So that's like in Holland, if there's a tall poppy, they cut it down because all the poppies must be level. And so it's don't ever rise above this. This is your measure. Don't rise above. And that was on the first workshop I ran in Denmark, was part of the conversation after the first day at lunch, because everyone was dead in my mind. I really thought I'd screwed it up because I was getting no feedback. But I actually had to have the conversation and say, I need you to feedback. I need you to let me know. Do you get this? Does this make sense? And it was amazing because by the end of that first workshop, they were crazy. And I reckon people come on the workshops now, a lot of people who keep coming back, and those who coming for the first time, because they've heard this is a space where you bring yourself. All of it. Everything's welcome. You know, and so we can do the work. If you can only bring what's politically correct and what's culturally right, you'll never bring yourself, because you are so much more than that. You are brought up in Denmark and you have these societal rules and cultural rules that you have these seasonal changes, but in there is you who is none of those things and is all of those things. And so we are not all the same. We are all different. We all have skills and abilities and tragedies and traumas that make us unique. And all of them are beautiful and all of them are welcome. And I think the world needs those things now more than anything. We need people showing who they are.
Yeah.